You're listening to the Confidence Within podcast. If you are a successful professional entrepreneur who is nonetheless struggling with the fear of public speaking, then you are in the right place. This podcast is all about igniting your inner confidence, learning to show up with genuine authority and brilliance, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Victoria Lesniansky, and welcome to my show. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Confidence Within podcast. My guest today is Sandy Hedenberg. Sandy was a student in my Brilliant Speakers Academy program a few years ago, and back then she was a sales manager in Berkshire Hathaway, a large national real estate brokerage firm. She managed and coached hundreds of real estate agents and was looking to take her career to the next level. The reason she joined my program was because of her crippling fear of public speaking. She missed many opportunities and felt it was time to finally step up and learn to show up as the true leader that she was. I invited Sandy to my podcast to share her inspiring journey from childhood bullying and public speaking anxiety to becoming an empowerment coach and looking to change lives by sharing her story and her work. I know you're going to absolutely love this episode. It's full of inspirational wisdom and advice. And so without further ado, please welcome Sandy to my show. Hi, Sandy, and welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited you're here with us.
Hi, Victoria. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I already told my listeners that you were a student in the Brilliant Speakers Academy program, and I wanted to go back to when you joined. Let's talk about that first. Mm-hmm. That was a few years ago. What were you doing back then, and why was it important for you to overcome the fear of public speaking?
Sure, absolutely. I feel like I want to start to kind of give people the context of how significant my fear of public speaking was, because that was such a big part of the story for me with joining your program. When I was a child, I was actually probably 9 or 10 years old. I was playing hangman in school. We all remember that game. So I was standing in front of a group of all the other students, and I made a mistake where I wrote out the word weather, W-E-A-T-H-E-R, and somewhere in my anxiety kicked in and I misspelled the word. So I started spelling the word weather, W-H-E-T-H-E-R. And my teacher at the time, when I realized that I made this mistake, she was not a nice teacher. And I remember, there was a lot of trauma there on my part, but she actually flipped out and started screaming at me in front of the class. And she made us all stop the game. And she said, "Miss Hedenberg ruined it for everyone. Everyone put your head down. The game is over. You'll all sit in silence, shut the lights out." And I remember, Victoria, I thought, I can never make a mistake again. And it was almost like that teacher took my voice away from me that day as a little girl. So much so that all through elementary, high school, even in college, I was in a business communication class. And I remember my teacher, she was very kind. And she said that it was like the first day of school. And she was like, "I want everyone to say their name, their favorite color, and something interesting about themselves." My heart started pounding out of my chest. And I was like dry mouth, sick to my stomach. I was like, there's no way I can do this. And then thankfully, by the grace of God, the class was over and I never had to do it. So I was able to navigate my life enough without having to do the public speaking as much as I could. I became a realtor right out of college. My background was in marketing, but I did a lot of one-on-one things. It was just conversational as a real estate agent. So I would sometimes have to talk in front of people, but never a significant number of people really. But there was something inside of me that always felt that I wanted to do something a little bit more and a little bit different, since I was a child. And I do believe it went back to the things that happened to me as a child. Specifically, part of it is the hangman incident, we'll call it. But that I wanted to help people with their own confidence and help them live a life that they didn't think was possible for themselves. And I always had that drive inside of me. And I was offered a position with Berkshire Hathaway as a sales manager. And I was like, okay, I'm a person that says, how can I grow? I'll never stop growing. I know that. So I said, okay, I'll take the job as a sales manager. And I remember my manager at the time said, "Are you okay with public speaking?" And I was like, "Yeah, totally." As my mouth got dry and I started sweating, and I was like, "Oh my God." And I thought, I have to do something with this, because this isn't just a limiting belief. This is going to limit me in so many different ways. So that's how I came to your program, because I had to do sales meetings. I had to do, like, I would have to present in front of the other managers at Berkshire Hathaway events. There were things that I had to do that I had to be okay enough to get through them, because it meant a lot to me. I wasn't in a situation that I was like, oh, it's okay, I don't care. I was never okay with that limit. Like, I wanted to do more, and I knew that. And I don't even know how I found your program, honestly. I remember when I saw the advertisement for it, or whatever it was, there was a kindness about you that I thought, she's someone that I could totally have a conversation with. Like, it wasn't, I just related to you right away. Your energy resonated so much. There was such a kindness there that I thought, if there's anyone that can help me through this, it's Victoria, and it's this program. So it was absolutely out of necessity that I had to do it. And as I kind of mentioned to you before we started this call, I joined for one reason, but I got so much more out of it that I never would have ventured to guess that I would have the confidence from within me from taking the actions based on the program and what I learned and my belief that it was possible for me. I think that's such a key part of this, that when you have a limiting belief, you just say that's the way that it is, and we can't even get out of our own way with it. Like, it's like I would never be able to do that. And hearing your story, how you were so scared, and then it's like I started doing this, and then I started doing that, and you continue to grow and evolve as a person. So yeah.
So what happened in the couple of years after you finished the program?
A lot happened. I ended up leaving my position at Berkshire Hathaway. I was a sales manager there, and I was hired by a company called Compass Real Estate. And in no small part of that, them recruiting me was because my confidence was growing. And I was putting myself out there. Like, when I was actually at Berkshire Hathaway, I was a member of Women's Council of Realtors. And someone approached me and said, would you do a talk on the empowerment of women or overcoming your fear of failure, whatever it was. And I was like, oh my God, I'm actually going to do this. And I probably would have reached out to you if it actually happened, but I committed to it. I actually went back and I rewatched your modules. I was like putting myself back into the headspace of the program. So this was 2020 when COVID was knocking on the door at that point. The week before I was supposed to present, I wrote the speech, I had everything, I was ready, and then COVID hit and they shut everything down. So there were no group setting or no like group events or anything like that. So I never actually had the opportunity to do my first real talk. But what I did do was I created a video, a half-hour video of me teaching this class on overcoming the fear of failure that I ended up presenting for the Women's Council of Realtors. So it was like, I think that's the other thing, is that me taking your class was saying to the universe, open and receptive to having opportunities presented. I'm sure you could give a million examples of that. It was almost like someone said, okay, here you go. And it didn't work out exactly like I thought, but then I had this really cool thing that I did instead, that now I have a video of it and I can share that with people. But from that, all of that, then I was put out there more in the public setting, that then Compass Real Estate said she'd be a wonderful sales manager for us. I made the transition from Berkshire Hathaway to Compass. So I left and I managed agents at Compass Real Estate. I had at one point over 300 agents that I was managing, and I enjoyed it. But through that part of it, I started to see how much I love coaching, and I really wanted to have an impact on people. And I think I'm like insightful enough that I can say, okay, well, this is how we work with that, and you can use it to your benefit. Because that's what I've done, is I've taken so many things that have happened, or that my own limiting beliefs, and say, how can I tweak it? And then use it as a story that's going to help inspire someone else. So I did that for 2 years at Compass. And then I just kind of was like, leap and the net will appear. And I was really nervous to do it, but I just said, it's time for me to finally go after this lifelong dream that's really been inside of me. So I ended up leaving Compass and leaving sales management altogether. And I'm in a coaching program now, actually, with Jay Shetty's coaching program. So I will be a certified coach in October. I'll have gone through the program. I really believe that people come into your life for a reason. and they give you messages that you're meant to hear. And I believe you crossed my path for a reason. And there's like little things that have happened, you know, little things you said during the program, or even just my knowing that you've created all these other businesses that you have just by trial and error. And you're not, you might think, well, what if I fail? But that doesn't stop you, you know? So it's leading by example. And I think that that's something that I want to pursue, or that's what I am pursuing as well, is the leading by example thing.
I love your story, Sandy. I really, really love this. And also, before we hit record, we talked about some of the other things you did. And I remember you mentioned the lipstick day.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about that? Because I think that is such a beautiful story.
Yeah. So one of the things that I went through growing up was actually I was bullied really, really badly for the size of my lips. And people now as an adult, they think like, are you crazy? People pay for lips that look like that. But it was something that I took on as like an insecurity that I would like stand, you know, I would talk to someone with my hands over my mouth. I always had a pen in my mouth. It was very much an insecurity because it wasn't like one person made a comment in passing about my lips. I was bullied pretty brutally as a like 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old over my lips. And it became a great source of insecurity for me. And then I actually, when I was an adult, people would say to me, you have such a nice smile and you have such nice lips and all this, but it was still there, as crazy as it was. So one day I had a friend that said, Sandy, you would look great in red lipstick. And I was like, what? And I was like, there's no way I would ever bring attention to something about myself that I'm so insecure about, right? We have to hide behind that thing. She's like, Sandy, put it on. And when I did that, it was like magical. Red lipstick was magical for me, but it was like, I am okay who I am as a person. And I ended up like, I still wear red lipstick to this day when I want to. But what happened was I told that story on Facebook. And one of my former agents said, Sandy, we should do an event, something about Red Lipstick Day that would be all about the empowerment of women. And Victoria, it was one of those things that everything inside of me said, don't you dare. You know what I mean? Are you crazy? Like you've come a long way, but how far have you come? Like to do a whole event about this story of being bullied. And I thought my desire to make a difference for other people is stronger than my fear of being insecure or putting myself out there. And I just was like, there's that ding that goes off inside of you that it's like, I'm going with it. And I did. And Compass was kind enough to actually, they made a logo, which it has red lips on that. We had t-shirts made, and we ended up raising money for the national organization called Girls Inc. I'm sure many people have heard of them. And Girls Inc., they work with all girls, but they specifically work with their self-confidence, and their tagline or mission statement is inspiring all girls to be strong, smart, and bold. So then from there, we had the t-shirts made with the red lipstick or the red lips, and then the words strong, smart, and bold on the front. And then on the back, it said like Women of Compass and stuff like that. And Victoria, was incredible. And it was another example of the things that we go through in life. They're preparing us for what we're meant to do. And I think that your story is, you know, indicative of that. Like there's so many examples of it that you went through things and it's like, I'm going to take this thing. And for me, the red lipstick guy was another example of that thing, that it was like, okay, God gave me a voice. I went through that. That was part of my journey. And now I'm going to share it with others. And when I tell you the number of men and women that when I told the story of Red Lipstick Day and when I told them my journey through bullying and everything, they were like, Sandy, I was bullied too. And you have no idea how much that means to me. And it's just that event gave so many people a voice and a belief in themselves, much like me with you, right? Like I saw what you did and I'm like, if she can do it, I can do it too. And then that was what so many people then said to me, Sandy, if you could do that, then I can do it too. And I think that's the most magical thing, is when you allow yourself to speak and share what you've been through, whatever it is. Like if it's one person that benefits from that, then it's worth it, you know, like, and not letting your fear of public speaking or your fear of being judged or whatever it is, like, don't let that stop you from doing the things that you're meant to do in life. And your program certainly had such a big impact on my ability to believe that I would be able to do that too.
I love, love, love this story. It is such a beautiful story. And I know it really resonated with my audience right now, because let's face it, even people who seem super confident, people who seem super successful, almost everyone has gone through episodes in life where they were bullied, where they were not appreciated, where they didn't feel like the best version of themselves, where they felt belittled. And I think it's really, really important to remember that everything we go through in life is a foundation for something that we're meant to do, is a foundation for something that's going to happen later, where it will all make sense, where all of a sudden we decide to do a pivot in our career, where we decide to open a business or go and work in a different industry or stay within the same industry, but get promoted to a much higher position. And all of a sudden we realize that there was something in our life that prepared us for this pivot. And if you look carefully, you will always find that something in your life that prepared you. And I know you already touched on it, but if you can talk a little bit more about what was your favorite part of the Brilliant Speakers Academy and of working with me?
I would say one of my favorite quotes is that we're best equipped to help the person we used to be. And you are the epitome of that. You broke it down in such a way that it was not that there's something wrong with me, because that's what we do. When we have something that's so limiting, specifically when it comes to public speaking and our confidence, we beat ourselves up, which then makes our confidence even lower. I felt during the entire program, it was you in your loving, caring way. It was like, I went through this too, and I couldn't do it, and I did it. And it was just that identifying with, like, it was, for me, it felt very nurturing, but educational and believable. Like it just felt like it didn't feel overwhelming for me. And then it was like taking the baby steps to get to the big step. And it's like, and this is what you have to do, and you can do this. And then you'll be able to, when you told the story about that you were afraid to public speak, and then it was like, but now I do it all the time. And it's like, wait, what? You believe in what you're saying, that it's like, she's practicing what she preaches. And there was just a vulnerability and the kindness of it, that it was super helpful, because it just gave me a wonderful space to grow. I'm 47. When I did your program, it was maybe 4 years ago. My entire life, this was something from the time that I played hangman to, I mean, that's 35 years that I had this fear of I just never thought I would be able to really overcome it. I mean, 4 years, I did it now, where I reached out to you and said, hey, I read your or I listen to your podcast. I love your weekly emails, and I would love to be on your podcast to kind of talk about how much your program helped me, not just with public speaking, but with going after the life of my dreams. It was helping build my confidence. It was being comfortable with being uncomfortable. You made me feel comfortable with being not perfect. Like, you really did. And I just felt all of that from your program. So it was wonderful. Like, I really enjoyed it, but it had a lasting impact on me. So much so that it wasn't like I attended a weekend event and I was like, yeah, that was great. It was like, I've thought of you so many times since going through the program, and just thought, like, this was someone who had an impact on my life. And with that in mind, I can do that too. Like, it's much bigger than just me being comfortable talking at meetings for me. So thank you, Victoria. It's magical what you're doing.
Thank you, Sandy. This was so touching. Like, I literally had goosebumps when you were speaking, because I really, really appreciate everything that you're saying. And I'm so thankful that you shared your story. I'm so thankful that you shared how you felt going through the program. I'm so thankful you shared how you felt working with me. And I'm really happy that I was able to make this difference. Thank you.
Oh, no. And thank you. If there's anyone that's listening to this right now and thinking it's not that big of a deal that I don't public speak, maybe once a year I have to do it. It's not just about that. It's about everything, because it's like we turn down opportunities to grow at every turn and we don't even realize it, where you might not speak up at a meeting. So say there's 3 people at that meeting, but because you're nervous, what are they going to think of me? They're going to judge me, or it won't be right what I say. So it's not just about public speaking. It's just about, like, speaking your mind, going after things. Like, there's so much more. And I love that it's that you're focusing so much on confidence and pivoting and doing what you want. Like I love watching the evolution of your career as well. I believe in the program that much, that it could help you in not just your career, it can help you in so many other areas of your life as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandy. Thank you for coming to my podcast. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Here you go. I hope you can see now that all of your dreams, goals, aspirations are absolutely within your reach. Through my program, I not only teach you how to conquer your public speaking fears and become a confident and captivating speaker, but I also help you build unshakable inner confidence to boldly go after everything that you want in life. So go to www.brilliantspeakersacademy.com to learn more about my one-of-a-kind coaching program and see if this might be the missing link in your journey to up-level your career or your business. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you next Wednesday. Bye for now.